What was used to kill Hifumi? Was it Justice Hammer 3? Maybe Justice Hammer 4?
Well, whatever it was, there's one thing we have to figure out. How was the culprit able to move around so freely with the weapon? How did nobody witness them carrying it?
Sounds like a Justice Hammer 5 is about to make its appearance! Check out murdergear.com/hammertime for more info!
Well, one thing seems pretty clear. The murder weapon had to be one of the Justice Hammers! And, that's about it.
You're not seeming very confident about your answer, Hero. And by the way, don't look up that website. I'm just saying that just in case. I would think Genocide Jill would be the type to troll everybody to go look up that website and it'd be like masked with viruses and everything. Probably has some snuff films on it. Oh, that would be terrible. But I think we all know where this is going based on the one truth bullet we have. The spotless hammer. The one we actually saw. No, it wasn't! The Justice Hammers are innocent! In the case of Hifumi's killing, everybody else, yeah, they did their damage.
The murder weapon wasn't a Justice Hammer at all. No, it was something completely different.
A big book!
But, seriously? A different weapon?
Run with it.
Specifically, a hammer from the repository. The killer could have easily used that to kill Hifumi. Now, all the hammers in the repository were covered in flecks of grit and debris. But for some reason, one of them had been scrubbed clean.
Huh?
The OCD murderer strikes again. First Hifumi's glasses and now a hammer!
And the reason it had been scrubbed clean was most likely because it was used to commit murder. If the hammer got covered in Hifumi's blood, of course they'd have to clean it off. I'd also like to point out that the repository has all kinds of hammers. Big ones, small ones, and even some flat mallet-like ones. I think whoever made the Justice Hammers used those as a basis for their design.
If that's true, that would explain the Monokuma Files note about the wounds being similar.
So Hifumi moved Taka's body to the repository, where someone then used a hammer to kill him.
And whoever did that is the true killer. The one Hifumi was working with. And the one who betrayed him.
And I think that's the key point there. Somebody betrayed Hifumi.
Hold on a moment. I still think it's strange to assume someone was working together with him.
You think it was two separate jobs?
The way the graduation rule works, there is no benefit to helping someone else carry out a murder.
That was one detail that's been nagging at me for a while, because I did have the theory that Hifumi was still alive, therefore he would have to be working with someone. Well, what does he have to gain?
So the idea that anyone would work together like that is simply ludicrous. We talked about this, did we not?
There really is no point to being helpful. I mean, if somebody's going to carry out a murder, why would you want to be an accomplice? You gain absolutely nothing. Let's talk about it.
Based on the rules that have been laid out for us, even if more than one person is complicit in the murder, only the one who actually carried out the act can graduate and survive. Assuming the rule holds true, it is simply impossible that two people work together on this.
That is how the rule was explained to us.
But that only really applies if there's one murder, right? In this case, however, there were two murders.
Interesting. I think Kyoko came in with the save right there at the end.
Based on the rules
But first,
that have been laid
we
out
need
for
to
us,
steal that statement from
even if
Kyoko,
more
so we're
than
going to have
one
to go
person
2
is
times
complicit
around
in
on
the
this one.
murder, only the one who actually
Because
carried
of
out the
Celeste's
act
statement
can
right here,
assuming the rule holds true.
impossible. Actually, no, it's not impossible.
In this case, however, there were two murders.
Thank you. By the way, I love the special abilities you get from maxing out social links. That's how I was able to grab that statement so quickly. Oh, I love it.
Based on the rules that have been
Even if more than one person.
only
Hey,
the one who
Celeste,
actually carried out
why
the
would you
act
say it
can
was impossible
graduate
for
and
2
survive.
different murders?
Assuming the rule
Explain,
holds
please.
No,
No, you're wrong! Love it.
Since there were 2 murders, it's at least plausible that more than one person was involved.
It makes sense. Why would one person carry out 2 different murders? Seems way too risky.
What do you mean?
If there'd only been one murder, then yes, the idea of an accomplice isn't really worth considering.
Absolutely no point if there's just one person killed.
Naturally, if only one person can be saved per murder, an accomplice has no risk versus reward benefit.
Risk versus reward benefit?
The payoff for working together. The reward that balances out the risk of taking part in a scheme. There's no point in being someone's accomplice if there's no benefit to you.
Exactly, which is why in a lot of these situations, having an accomplice is pointless.
However, if there were some potential mutual reward for the risk, then cooperation becomes possible.
You're saying that 2 people could act as each other's accomplices to commit 2 separate murders.
I think that's what the true killer told Hifumi. They would each have an accomplice for their crime. And based on the case's events, Hifumi would have been the first one to act, murdering Taka.
Based on the events, that makes sense.
They made him carry out the first murder so he couldn't back out of helping them later on.
Aha! Oh, that's holding something over him.
So in this case, there wasn't one single person committing multiple murders. Instead, each person killed someone, creating 2 separate incidents.
Breaking it into 2 separate murder cases, all equaling 1.
And it only looked like one person because that's how the true killer designed it to look.
That's a really nice design. It still didn't work,
A
but...
single suspicious individual, a similar weapon used in each crime, disappearing bodies.
Mass confusion everywhere.
By creating one seamless set of circumstances, they made it look like one person was behind it all.
The mastermind picked their target and managed to convince him to go along with their plan. And then, to avoid the no accomplices rule, they simply killed their accomplice.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, they know who the true killer is. Might as well get rid of him.
Which, if true, means that betraying Hifumi was part of the plan from the very beginning.
So, the true killer, in a sense, wanted 2 people gone.
That's just awful. How could anyone be so cruel?
Good question.
You think so? I can't help but admire its cunning. Still, their choice of accomplice seems odd.
Yeah, no kidding. Who would recruit Hifumi, of all people? What did he have to gain? Huh. Kyoko, you're too smart for all of us. I still want to know where she was the whole time. She read the script for the game! No! Oh, super high school level problem solver, I guess.
I understand how an accomplice could be involved, but then who was the one pulling Hifumi's strings?
Good question.
That's problem numero uno right now.
The true killer. The one person who could have possibly held something over Hifumi to make him work for them. Oh, think. Who could it be? If we go over all the possible people... Yeah? I'm thinking there's only one person. Well, certainly not me. Hifumi was the victim in all this. Toko was out cold. No. Hey, Celeste. There's something really important I want to ask you. Care to enlighten me?
Here's my answer. It was Celeste.
So I'm the suspicious individual now, am I?
Yeah. There's a couple details I want to ask you about, nothing big.
I really do hate this kind of joke.
A joke? I wonder.
Uh-oh.
So what you are saying, then, is that I specifically chose to work together with Hifumi.
At one point, he was like your servant dog. I don't know, I'm trying to connect it.
The idea that I would choose to spend any amount of time interacting with him,
Uh-oh.
that I would go within 10 feet of that shit for brains, that lazy, worthless, goddamn idiot! Pardonnez-moi.
Oh no, we've unleashed the beast!
Just to be clear, there is evidence to support it.
Thank you.
Is that so?
It is. Throughout the investigation, there was certain behavior that was common only to the two of you.
Yes, this is what I was getting at.
Considering what we've learned so far, it only further proves that the two of you were working together.
The one thing that had been bugging me this entire time was the paper in Nafumi's pants. No, if you actually think about it, go through this entire case again and think about the one thing that Hifumi and Celeste saw, but nobody else saw.
I got it! The behavior they had in common has to do with the suspicious individual in the suit, doesn't it? The only ones who ever actually saw Robo-Justice firsthand were Celeste and Hifumi.
Shush, the adults are talking now.
You son of a bitch! I was trying to figure it out!
Sorry.
Ow!
As he said, only Celeste and Hifumi ever laid eyes on the costumed individual. If we accept that Hifumi was one of the culprits, we can't help but suspect what Celeste has said as well.
Are you saying everything they told us was a lie?
Damn good lie.
After taking Hifumi to the nurse's office, we all began our search for this individual, correct? And not too long after that, do you remember what Celeste said?
Ooh, this is the big one.
We headed to the second floor specifically because of what she claimed to have seen.
Pulling all the strings.
Next, to draw us all to the physics lab up on the third floor,
She let out a blood-curdling scream.
and when we'd all come to see what was wrong, what was it she said?
Caw. Whatever you think it sounded like. Still doesn't change the fact that, again, she was the only one who saw it. Uh-oh. Celeste, would you care to explain to us?
Once she'd done her job of getting us all up to the physics lab, it was time for her partner to get to work.
Seems to be a very detailed plan. When you consider that the caw or whatever she used, think of it a different way. What could that have been used as? Because shortly after that, well, you see what happened.
It was to get us to divide into two groups. So that we would discover both bodies at the same time?
That is a massive chance. That's a 1 in a million that we would actually make it there at the same time.
In fact, Celeste was precisely the one who proposed that we split up.
Oh yeah, that's another one against you, Celeste. And since we have to have 3 or more people to discover a body before the announcement's made, splitting us into 3s was perfect. Oh, it's all going against you!
Well, if Celeste and Hifumi were working together, all those chance events suddenly become connected.
The string puller.
And on top of that, That piercing cry of yours early on.
Ooh, you caught it too. Sorry.
That was to signal Hifumi, wasn't it?
Ooh.
It was your way of telling him, we're on the 3rd floor. Everything's going according to plan.
You were able to translate that?
Why else would you let out a scream that could have carried across the sea?
I just realized another strange thing.
Just keep stacking up.
When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, who we now know was only pretending to be dead, Celeste, you were the first one to say he'd been murdered.
Ooh, ouch.
You wanted to make sure we wouldn't have any doubt in our minds.
You planted the seed. You planted that thought. And it worked.
I don't believe it. Everything, the whole thing was one big act.
Hina, you were with Celeste when Hifumi's body disappeared, right?
Yeah. I was feeling kinda sick, so Celeste took me to the bathroom.
Uh-oh.
Wait! Then that was...
Oh, no!
She wasn't worried about you. She just saw a chance to help Hifumi sneak out of the nurse's office.
Each piece isn't much by itself, but start putting them together and the picture gets very ugly indeed. Wouldn't you agree, Celeste?
And now for the defense. What do you have to say to all of this?
I have no idea what you mean.
Don't! Well, okay. Bring it on.
Don't bother trying to deny it.
You're gonna play the denial card? We've got evidence.
You made one fatal mistake.
Especially this one. I don't know if any of you caught it, but... Ugh!
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
I didn't even catch it myself when you first said it, but looking back, I can say that that one little slip-up was your undoing.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about what you said after Hifumi's body disappeared and we returned to the nurse's office.
Be sure to read very carefully these next few lines, because, I noticed it.
I remember her saying that too, but I don't understand what's so strange about it.
Then pay attention. Sakura, Toko, and I were first to discover Taka's body in the equipment room. Then Makoto showed up and told us Hifumi had been killed, so Sakura and I left with Makoto. Once we were in the hall, we ran into Celeste, and the four of us headed to the nurse's office. Now, the entire time we were together, none of us said anything about Taka being dead.
Yep.
Think about it. Celeste's comment doesn't make sense. It was completely out of place.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Although I don't really get what it means.
A slip of the tongue, Hero. It's something that happened in the last case, actually.
You hear that, Celeste? Everyone's having some trouble understanding. Could you repeat what you said? If you're really not the culprit, you shouldn't have any problem repeating it, right?
Oh, Celeste, you have such a good poker face, but you have to recount everything that you said when we saw the missing body, or didn't see the body at all. Oh, man. Pay attention.
All I said was, they must really be enjoying this. Enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. They must be positively elated. We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like those guys died. And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes to finish this. It's obvious, isn't it, what was so strange about Celeste's comment?
Oh, yeah. If you think about what Byakuya is trying to do, he's trying to make a slip of the tongue very, very obvious. And yeah, that's a really big mistake. And I need to make a note here that if somebody told me to reaccount something I said like hours ago, word for word, I wouldn't be able to do it. My memory sucks.
Just like those guys died.
I'll take that.
And that is all I said.
And that's all
Actually,
it takes to
no, not
finish.
that one. What am I thinking?
Obvious, isn't it? What was
Be
so
careful.
strange about Celeste's comment?
That's the one you need. I almost made a grave mistake. Yeah, we need to point out what's so strange about her statement. Not those guys. No, of course
All
not.
I said was
But it is strange that,
enjoying
how she
the
knew
sight
about
of
it.
us standing around, frightened and confused.
Based on what Byakuya said,
We're all going to die.
they were the ones who knew about
We're
Taka.
going to die.
She didn't!
No, that's wrong.
You fool! We have found you out!